Well. It's
You're
that
supposed
time
to
of
say bonjour, aren't you? Seeing
bonjour.
that you started with
Bonjour,
that.
ça va. Sean's in. Sean first. Um,
Bonjour.
do you ever start your week? And so at Sunday evening, I thought, let's have a look at the week ahead. And I looked at the diary, and it was like it was like an assault course. And I was like,
like a tough mudder, a
and the
digital
tough
tough mudder.
mudder, yeah. And the very last entry was that album, and I was like, right now, I don't see how I get from Monday at 8 a.m. to that album. I don't know how that works out, and here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. My goodness me. My goodness me. Barry Young's just in. Hi, Barry. Hope you've had a good week. And how's the new job going? Hope it's going well. Hi, Graham. Peter Larkin's here. Oh my God, it's Pedro Larkin, my adult rugby coach. Peter Larkin. We so I worked for a subsea company. Peter and a couple of other people. So we were international. So we had Northern Europe and Canada based out of Aberdeen, Africa and Mediterranean based out of Paris, and other regional groups. Peter spearheaded a campaign to get Northern Europe and Canada NEC and AFMED, Africa Mediterranean, to form a rugby team and play in one in Scotland and one in Paris, one in Aberdeen, one in Paris. And it was all, there was graduate engineers, there was people in their 40s. He trained us, he got us going, he got sort of finance and sponsorship, and we had some wonderful. So I played my last ever game of rugby with Peter at the helm at the age of 38 and ended up with that. So thank you. Thank you, Peter.
A bit like a sort of you're like a sort of a very white Jonah Lomu, aren't you? Or a very tall Johnny Wilkinson.
Yeah, I don't think many people would say that after they saw me playing. Our game in Paris was probably the most brutal and injury-packed game I've ever seen in my life.
Like a cross between rugby and ice hockey. It's a punch up on ice, isn't it?
Rugby and street thuggery.
Yeah,
nice. So we're back. We made it to Friday afternoon. I can't quite believe it. Mrs. Doyle has said, I've just been to the shop, so we've got some wine for tonight and some nibbles, and we've got some nice TV planned for tonight. And what a lovely run into that's going to be. So this is the album. We're back.
We are.
So for those
this is a bit unusual, isn't it? This one.
It's a wee bit unusual, yeah, because
obviously neither of us have actually ever listened to this guy before.
No. So for those that don't know, hi Mark, who's in Dubai right now in McGettigan's bar. We take an album every week and we dissect it, whether we know it or not. One of us suggests an album each alternate week, and we thank you, Peter. We dissect it. So this is a 55th show, something like that.
56th show, it turns out. Yeah.
So 1 week I suggest an album. The other week, the following week, Adam suggests an album, and we go away, we dissect it for a week, and we come back and we do a proper review. So there will be some talking. If you think you've turned up for a radio show where we're going to play an album, we're going to do some talking because it's a proper
bit like
review
radio with musical interludes, isn't it?
Musical interludes, yeah. Some people wish we would just shut up. I get that, but we have
that, didn't they? Stop talking and play the album.
Stop talking and play the album. Yeah, that's called the radio. So last week we did. What did we do? We did. Can't even remember. What was it? Oh, it was Metallica. Black Album.
It was, and that was fantastic. I loved that. Absolutely loved that.
What an album! What a show! And what an amazing response from our lovely listeners and viewers out there. For anybody who's missing Ken. So last week you suggested what, and tell us why.
Yeah. So on Wednesday or Thursday, David Crosby died.
Yeah,
he's not the Black Family guy that was on. Oh, that's Bill Cosby.
So that's Cosby. He's Crosby. This is David Crosby.
Okay. Yes, David Crosby. Yeah, almost. So I don't know anything about him. I mean, I know he was in Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and I kind of, when you said, "Oh yeah, the Birds," I went, "Oh yeah, the Birds." He was in the
Birds. Yeah.
But other than that, I've not really listened to any of his stuff.
No.
So the fact that he died, I just went onto Apple Music and I did essential albums, and it was If Only I Could Remember My Name. And I thought, okay, well, let's suggest that and see how we get on with it, because I thought it'll be a learning for both of us. So how did you get on with it?
Well, this is incredible. So I was a bit of a fan of the Birds back in the early days when I was a bit of a mod. The Birds were in that kind of like little Lennon glasses and pork pie hats and velvet
Yeah.
jackets and all that, and I loved all that. Um, I I I sort of veered away from David's career after that. Didn't know much about him. Clearly knew about Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and Crosby, Stills and Nash, and all of that. Didn't know much about the guy, so I simply sat down one day while I was writing some project work and stuck this on. And as Leah rightly says, David Van Cortlandt Crosby, born in August the 14th, 1941, American singer, guitarist, songwriter, founding member of the Byrds and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and then embarked on a solo career. And I thought, right, I'm just going to put this on, and like I do with any album that you recommend, just let it wash over me and see what I think. I have to say, I really enjoyed this week. This album, actually, as I said on Sunday night, my diary looked for this week like an assault course. What a brilliant musical accompaniment to I have to say, I really love this album. What about you?
Well, you know me. I know what I like, and I like what I know, and I put this on, and I kind of went a bit nah to begin with, and then I listened to it again, and I thought, I listened to it again, and I thought, oh, this is all right actually, and it's really grown on me, really grown on me.
It's a lovely, lovely, lovely piece of work that has come out of tremendous sadness.
Well, I thought that this, once I got into it and I got over the initial kind of, it sounds a bit like, or comparing it to, and I just kind of wallowed in the music, I found this, frankly, a bit of a gateway drug to other things of this period. So I didn't just listen to this, but I found myself listening to that kind of, because this really struck me as being sort of like American road music.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I was a big fan of the Doors, and when the Doors start to do like extended musical pieces, I found myself in that kind of. It's hard to say David Crosby's name without talking about psychedelic folk rock, right? So he puts you in that mode.
Yeah, he does. And I did listen to and ended up watching some Mark Bolan interviews.
Yeah,
You know, great contemporary of this. But I also found myself listening to Born to Be Wild, Fortunate Son, Sweet Home Alabama, Take It
yeah,
Easy, Rock and Roll Doctor, Walk This Way, all of which were in this little period from like late 69 to late 74. And I just thought to myself, oh my God, music of this period. It's like you'd be beating people off with a stick, wouldn't you? It was just
absolutely.
such an amazing period for music.
Yeah, absolutely. Pedro's just said, try playing Guinevere. Yeah, okay. There's a challenge for you. There's a challenge. How
Yeah,
many
yeah,
different keys?
absolutely.
How many different keys? So I got major sort of like homespun, proper psychedelic, folky Americana. I
Yeah,
felt
yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to get in an old American car, put this
Pick
in,
up, throw a guitar in the back,
throw a
and
guitar in the back.
drive through the South across America.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Maybe do Route 66 and put this on and camp outdoors and
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Because
It was a cross between what's the one with the bikers, Jack Nicholson and
we want to be free and do what we want to do. We want to get loaded.
yeah,
Yep, Peter Fonda.
yeah. It's exactly that, isn't it? It's exactly that feel to it, and I just love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's when
It
the
had a
world was a simpler,
much simpler place.
more innocent place.
So this was released in February of 1971 on Atlantic Records.
Thank you, Easy Rider. That's it.
Easy Rider, yeah, none of us could remember. We've got quotes from it. Don't bogart that thing, etc. Yeah, absolutely. So on this album, you get Graham Nash, you get Neil Young, you get Joni Mitchell, who we've now said is if there's going to be elders selected to save the planet, Joni
Yeah, yeah.
Mitchell,
She's going to be one of them.
need to be up there, right? Absolutely. You get members of Jefferson Airplane, you get Santana, you get the great.
Hold on a second. Which Walk This Way am I referring to? Well, obviously the original one, not the Run DMC
Yeah,
remix.
yeah.
The original Aerosmith.
You get Jerry Garcia turns up The ensemble was given the informal moniker of the Planet Earth Rock and Roll Orchestra.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lovely piece of work. His first solo album, and it came out of a bit of despair. He'd lived through some dark chapters in his life, but few compared to the period he spent grieving the sudden death of his girlfriend, 21-year-old Christine Hinton, in a 1969 car accident. He didn't have any way of dealing with it, he told Rolling Stone. It was too big for me. It crushed me like a bug. People told me they found me on the floor of recording studios weeping uncontrollably for hours. And out of that deep sadness of the loss of Christine, he decided to start putting it down. He said, but the critics didn't get it. The critics didn't get it at all. He got panned a little bit. They said he was still coming to terms with the death of his girlfriend, and it's made him produce an album that's not really him and all of that. And he said it's totally me, and that's it. They wanted me to follow trends, and they were promoting the guitar player world. I went in a direction that they didn't understand, and the critics sort of panned me a little bit. However, 5 decades later, and the critics are now saying this is a masterpiece.
Yeah, really interesting, isn't it? How at the time it was not fashionable and consequently wasn't given perhaps the boost that it could have had. And then subsequently looking back, people have noticed just what a fantastic piece of work it is.
Yeah, I have. So the month prior to this was February 71, January 71, particularly January the 1st, 71. Do you want to hear a funny story quickly before we get into it? We've got a few minutes. We usually start at 1:15 with the music. So I was the first baby born in Scotland in January 1971.
And the most important baby born in Scotland.
Some say. Yeah, I haven't met the people who say that, but some say. I've heard. When I was 18, I went out to celebrate my birthday, and I came back home late, and my father was sitting in the dining room, and he was rather inebriated. He had a bottle of whiskey, and most of it was gone, drinking out of a little thistle glass. And he said, come and have a drink.
I remember you telling me this.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So I said, I don't want to. And he said, just come in and have a drink with your father. Happy birthday and all that. And he poured me a thistle glass, a thistle shaped glass. A wee dram. Aye, have a dram with your father. And I sat down, and he had vinyl out. And he was playing vinyl. My mother was asleep upstairs, and he was playing this, and he was playing a song that I kind of recognised. I didn't really know who it was by in those days, and it went dun dun dun, do 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 do. And I said, "Who's this you're playing?" He said, "Well, you should know. This is Albatross by Fleetwood Mac, son, and this is a very special song for you." And I said, "I'm sorry, I don't understand." And he went, "It's a very special song for you." And I said, "Don't you dare. Don't you speak another word. Don't you say another word." And he went, "A very special song for you, son." I can't hear that song today without having a little bit sick just here. So yeah, Albatross, can't listen to it, but just thought I'd share that.
That's nice. So 1971.
Yes, what happened?
Well, interesting time for music. T-Rex were big at this point. Hot Love and Get It On were both in the charts, were number ones. Maggie May was a number one. And the best-selling single of the year was My Sweet Lord by George Harrison.
Oh, wow. Who has a tie-in to this record?
Indeed. And interestingly, that song was so successful, it outsold combined, which will show you the disparate nature, it outsold Ernie.
The fastest milk cart in the West.
Indeed. And Grandad combined.
St. Winifred School Choir.
Yeah. What an awful musical period. So you had great stuff like Maggie May,
yes,
and you had awful stuff like Ernie. Anyway, so what happened? Open University launched. Rolls-Royce went bankrupt. Decimalisation. The Morris Minor ceased production. Hard Rock Cafe opened. Qatar gained independence from the UK.
Wow.
Had some great musical births that year. Gary Barlow, Liam Howlett, Dido, wow, and perhaps best of all, Chesney Hawkes.
Chesney Hawkes. He is the one and only.
We had some great Scottish contributions to the world. David Coulthard, Ewan McGregor, David Tennant, all born that year. as were Sacha Baron Cohen, Mackenzie Crook, and of course George Osborne, whom we know and love. Oh no, we don't. So a very very interesting year culturally, and quite an important year.
Yeah.
So you put on this album, and what is the first thing that you thought once you kind of got into this?
Genuinely, I thought I feel comfortable with this because I used to listen to the Byrds, and I hear a bit of the Byrds. I hear a bit of Byrds in this. I didn't. What did you think?
His voice.
His voice, yeah.
Oh my god,
It's
just gorgeous, isn't it?
It's a path well trodden. That voice has a suitcase or two in it.
Yeah,
it has experience.
Absolutely beautiful.
Shall we start with the first track? Will we go straight in? Music is love.
I've got a very little story on this.
Right,
what I can tell you is that it's in C major,
right.
and it's an open tuning on the guitar, which he learnt from Joni, or he taught to Joni. So it's tuned rather than E, A, D, G, B, E. It's tuned C, G, C, C, G, C. So the open strings are only 2 notes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Incredible, yeah, absolutely. David said this song started out as that. Eric may have been the first baby born, but I share my birthday with the front. Hey, let's give him a hey. Music is love. The first. Look at Leah's comment. Hey. Because of that, Andrew can start jukeboxes just with his elbow. Sunday, Monday, happy days. Right, okay, let's do this. Music is love. David said this started out as an accident. I'd been playing that little figure that opens it for a while, and one day, and I like the way he just drops this in, his 2 mates. One day I was doing it, and Neil and Graham heard me doing this. Neil and Graham, just chuck them in there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They heard me and they went, "Oh, that's interesting." Neil liked it in particular. I said that was fun. Let's. They put drums on it and bass and all sorts of stuff and other guitars, and they said, "Listen, this is really good. It's better than you think. Give us the tape." And they put conga drums on it, the bass drum on it, some hand claps, and they brought it back. And he said, "I love this." This became the first song on the record. Shall we play "Music Is Love"?
Let's play it.
Let's do it. I've changed my volumes a little bit, so tell me if this is too loud or too quiet.
Up just a little bit.
So we're around a campfire on a beach somewhere. It's lovely and warm. We're in shorts, but we've got blankets over. The campfire's going. People are passing around things of dubious nature, but we don't care. Bottles are going around and everyone's clapping and getting involved.
Because I branched out from this and listened to loads of other stuff that was around at this time, I was really interested to read about ELP, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Yeah. And they formed, and they were playing in some little club in Soho in front of about 400 people. And then the next concert they did was at the Isle of Wight Festival with 600,000 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was that period, wasn't it, when,
Totally.
yeah, come and play at my gig, you know, come and play at Woodstock.
Yeah, big time. It's got to be a 12-string in this, right?
Yeah.
It's got depth.
Well, I posted something on LinkedIn last weekend. So I know a little bit, the guy that used to be the production manager at Martin Guitars.
Right.
And David Crosby, he did play half his time on a 6-string, half of his time on a 12-string.
Yeah.
And the guy that was the production manager had just made a custom David Crosby version to go and give to David Crosby.
Oh.
And he drove up to the recording studio and he jumped out of the car and he ran in to check where David Crosby was. And he said, I've got the guitar in the car. And he went back to the car and he'd left the car running and the doors were locked. And David Crosby said, don't worry about it. I know a bit about breaking into cars. And he went and got a coat hanger and popped the door open and in they got.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and everyone that's written about him since his passing has said he was just the best person. You know, incredibly talented musician, but so lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a little harmony in here, which if you're into this collective. I wonder if Yayan, who I know loves his gothic music, there's a gothicness to this. Put Wayne Hussey in front of that stage with some drums and you've got the Mission. Stand by for pelters. So that's the opening track, which I kind of found myself just sort of like slipping on like a nice comfortable jacket. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was terrific. You can hear the Indian influences.
More about that shortly.
Yes, indeed. So the second track, Cowboy Movie. I mean, keep in mind this whole album of 9 songs is only 38 minutes long. Cowboy Movie, second track. David said, this is the story of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, but it's told as a cowboy movie.
Yeah.
I knew that it was going to be fun to play. Garcia and I had played it a couple of times. Just Garcia, Jenny. Yeah, just Garcia. Had played it a couple of times with Kreutzmann and Mickey Hart. We did it at different times with different drummers. We did it with Lesh. We did it with Cassidy and Kaukonen. We would play at the Matrix nightclub and we'd do this song for laughs. The recording on the album kind of just naturally fell out. We played it a couple of times and we just had great fun. So we just had good chemistry. It was loose and funky and it felt right. This is Cowboy Love. Our Cowboy Movie. Do you have any notes on this?
Yeah. So as you said, it's a story about Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, as if they were cowboys in a Western movie. In the story, Eli and Duke battle for Raven's affections. So Eli is Stephen Stills, Duke is Graham Nash, Raven is Rita Coolidge. So it says Stills and Nash both met Rita Coolidge when they were working on Stills's solo track, Love the One You're With. Both guys fell for her, but Stills made his move and they started dating. What happened next, Nash explained, in Goldmine. One day I found out that Rita, I won't bother reading all of that stuff, but Fat Albert is played by David Crosby in this 8-minute story that they tell. Eli, Stephen Stills, Duke Graham Nash, young Billy, Neil Young, and Raven, Rita Coolidge.
This is Cowboy Movie, track number 2.
We were riding back to camp. We were feeling very fine. The air was clear, slightly damp. drive of the train. We were talking kind of low and lazy about not having to go out soon again.
So this is basically David Crosby singing lead vocals on the Grateful Dead, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
So
yeah,
this
yeah,
album is
absolutely.
Jerry Crosby guitar, Phil Lesh bass, Mickey Hart drums, Bill Kreutzmann tambourine. And it says in my notes, when Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young went on hiatus, Crosby started performing and making music with members of the Dead. They worked up this song in jam sessions and played it live at a nightclub before recording it for this album.
I had a secret bet on when we'd see that word from Mick Albano wins the bet. I wondered who was going to say the word hippie first. And he's right. No doubt, Leah, absolutely.
Yeah, in fact, when I was listening to some of the lead guitar on this album, before I checked out who was playing, I could have sworn it was Carlos Santana.
Yeah, totally. And as she rightly says, a bit Hendrixy as well. Lots of bands throughout history have tried to sound this cool and effortless, but this is authentic. This is effortless, right? This is just dripping out these guys, right?
And effortless.
Yeah, totally.
Although, having said that, the next track, Tamalpais High, I thought it was about school.
Yeah, so did I.
I don't think it is, though. Somehow.
No, it's not. And it's not about a mountain either. Because, yeah. And with Ellen on that, it's kind of like you don't want this to end. Just let them carry on. You know, I've got a thing about I've got to believe the songwriter singer when they sing.
You do here, don't you?
Oh my God, do you believe it?
So when you're listening to this, you close your eyes and you can see Harry Dean Stanton standing on the corner of a long dirt track off to one side with a kind of cigarette in his mouth.
Yeah, exactly. So, as Ellen, because she's so timely, put that up there.
She's from California.
Right. Okay. So could you? I know that's a horrible thing to try and explain in text, but is it Tamalpais? Is there a silent? Is it Tamalpais? Is there a silent S on the end? Where's the emphasis in the word? I'm fixated by saying things properly. So we're going to say Tamalpais. Hopefully that's right. Tamalpais. So David says Tamalpais is a big mountain in Marin County, right across the bay from San Francisco. It's also called the Sleeping Lady. Tamalpais High is not about the mountain, though. It's about Tamalpais High School. I had a girlfriend who was going to Tamalpais High School at the time when I met her. And so Tamalpais High is not about getting high, which he did quite a lot, old David.
Do you think?
Well, he says of the 50 or so songs that I ever wrote that I really liked, all of them were when I was out of my mind. And he was one of the sort of pioneers of the sort of legal marijuana movement. Tamalpais. Ah, right, okay. Brilliant. Pies. Right. Brilliant. Got to say it right. So it was about the high school. It was about, it's not about high or the mountain, but it's pretty. The subtle is at about 3, since about 3 p.m. when school got out. Now, I'm not thinking that he was doing anything untoward. I'm sure she was of age and all of that. He said,
Well,
I didn't
people
have
didn't
any.
care in those days, really, did they?
Yeah,
Not,
let's
not,
not
in
go
the,
there.
not in the
That's
way
for
they do
another,
now.
that's for another show.
Yeah.
I didn't have any words for it, so I just did it the way I wanted to, using my voice like a horn section. As far as I'm concerned, there are no rules. I can do stuff with this because it's mine. I don't know if anyone else would have done it like that, but I loved it. The harmonies on here, oh,
Yeah.
crikey.
Now this is written in F sharp major, 6 sharp. So this is a really difficult thing to play if you are playing the piano, let's say. You know,
Right.
it's just basically all of the black notes. So what he did was tune his guitar down by half a step. So he's playing it in F major on the guitar. So it's an easy play on the guitar, but an extremely difficult play on an instrument that would be a fixed position in terms of how you
Crikey.
play it.
Crikey. So this is courtesy of the lovely Ellen Tamil Pais. Pais? I'm still not saying it right. Hi, at about
By
3.
ease.
Pais. Yep.
It's got that lovely
Birds. Feeling
San
about it.
Francisco
Yeah.
sound to it, hasn't it?
I just went birds as soon as I heard it. Do you think they talk like that when they're all together? Just normally they talk in harmony.
They're playing away.
Absolutely.
They're just so mellowed, aren't they?
Yeah, totally. Hey, David, do you notice we're like on a cloud now? Yeah, I didn't want to say anything in case we fell off. Very jazzy chords coming in here and progressions.
Is that Donovan as in hurdy-gurdy, hurdy-gurdy, hurdy-gurdy man? That
They
Donovan,
call me Mellow Yellow.
indeed.
So that is the lovely track number 3, Tamal Pais High at about 3. The next track is an interesting one. David writes, I first met George Harrison when the Byrds went to London in 65. For some reason, he rang my bell. He was extremely nice to me. He had me over to his house, we had dinner and we hung out. I had in my suitcase a record that had just been given by Ravi Shankar. I gave it to George and that had repercussions. I mean, like, think about that. David Crosby gave George Harrison a Ravi Shankar album. And then think about what happened to the Beatles, right? George later told him that he had turned him on to Indian music. He said, I don't think that's true. I think a number of people did, but I think he was trying to be nice to me to make me feel good. Anyway, he went to India, had lots of fun there. He met a teacher that he liked, a guru. And basically he kind of wrote this song as a little thing for George. This is laughing.
Yeah, so yes, Andrew, he did. In fact, he showed her how to tune the guitar into alternate tunings, and then she went off like extrapolated that to its logical conclusion, as we found out when we were studying her for the couple of albums of hers. So in an interview, he recalled the conversation that led to this song. I was very taken with George, he said. I liked him a lot. So George gets a hold of me one day and says, I've met this fellow in India. I can't do a scout.
This is George Harrison's Welsh cousin.
I met this fellow in India, a teacher, a guru, that I like a lot, he said. Really? Oh, shit, says David Crosby. And he said, yeah, I think he's got something. And Crosby said, that's wonderful. So he then said, he wanted to say, the exact words I wanted to say were, take it with a grain of salt.
Right.
Because he didn't believe in all that spiritual stuff. So it was that made him write the song for George Harrison.
Wow. This is the quote, right? And I imagine this being said in David Crosby's voice. Now, this is a guy who's seen things in his life. His mind's been altered and he's opened doors into new sort of interplanetary spaces. Imagine this being said in an American kind of hippie way. This is one of the best responses. So why did you write the song was the question. The song says that I've met people like that. I've had a glimpse of what I think is the truth. The bottom line is that people seem to know most about what's real, and where the truth is with children. A child laughing at the sun knows more about God than I do. That's what the song is about. It's me trying to tell George that I love him, and I want him to take the Maharishi and all the other gurus with a grain of salt. Perfectly. Nice. With a grain of salt. All ties up, doesn't it? This is Laughing, track number 4.
So this, just for reference, is in DGDDAD as a tuning.
Lovely, because that was annoying me. What is the tuning?
I thought I met a man who said he knew a man who knew what was going on. I was mistaken.
We've reviewed that album here, and
that is one of my favourite songs of all time.
One of my favourite albums of all time, one of his favourite songs of all time. Just to let you know that I've decided, since listening to this album, I've been looking for, I've got a movie, I've got a screenplay for a movie, and I was looking for the song for the kind of montage part. This is
you
the
found
song.
It now.
This is it. I believe you.
I was mistaken.
They just know everything. The timing, the pitching, the harmonies. They are as one, aren't they?
So in sync. Yeah, absolutely.
Delightful. Absolutely delightful.
I'm convinced that Crosby says to the rest of the team, do you want to go get a sandwich for lunch? And they all say it.
And I thought I'd seen someone who seemed at last to know the truth.
Exactly.
I was mistaken.
Oh, it's like velvet.
It's just it makes your hair stand on end. Well, if I had some hair, it'd be standing on end.
Oh, incredible. Yeah.
Can indeed.
Aye, 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 aye. Just firing up the just sticks, says Andrew. I love that. I love that. Track 5, What Are Their Names? He said of this track, it's amazing how What Are Their Names is still true. You listen to it today. This is him talking about his old song. You listen to it today and you'd think I wrote it last week. Here's an interesting fact about What Are Their Names. I've sung it at every gig I've ever done since I wrote it. I effing love it. I think it's an extremely truthful piece of stuff and I believe in it. The music is a jam, just me and Jerry goofing off. We were just effing around. You can hear the other guys come into the room, pick up their instruments and start to jam with us. Months later, I was in an aeroplane and I wrote those words. I realised there was a space on the tape that would fit this and it fitted perfectly. I tried it and it worked. This is...
so he says about this, this is a song about the invisible ruling elite of the world.
Man.
Interestingly, if I could remember if I could only remember my name, this album gained new recognition in 2010. Why?
Must have been a movie.
No.
Politics. Someone played it.
No. It was listed second on the Vatican's top 10 pop albums of all time. How cool is that? So second behind Revolver. Apparently, David Gilmour said, damn it, Pink Floyd with Dark Side of the Moon came third.
In nomine Patri Spiriti Crosby. This is what are their names? Picking up their instruments, you can hear it. Joining in. It's just a jam.
It's beautiful for that, isn't it? That's the smoke that goes up the chimney when they're choosing a new pope, isn't it?
Totally. This has got kind of Apocalypse Now vibes for me. I can just hear Jim Morrison sidling up to the mic with his leather pants on. This is the end. See Martin Sheen looking rather sweaty on a little metal boat going up the river. Who is our LinkedIn user? Can you let us know? Is that Helen? Possibly. LinkedIn user, can you tell us who you are? You're appearing as LinkedIn user. It'd be lovely to know who you are. Vietnam choppers, yeah. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Whoops, the boat was plastic.
Peace on my mind, about peace for mankind. Peace is not an awful lot to
I found myself just being washed over by this. It was really helpful this week. It was like some medicine this week. Yeah.
I've had quite a stressful week, and I found that when I was sitting in the car on a longish journey, I just had this on repeat, and it was soothing. You know,
Soothing,
I wasn't stressed. I was relaxed and just kind of coasting. It was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not doing this any justice by trying to cram this very short album into an hour, which we should be able to, because it's worth listening to as a piece. It's brilliant.
And also there's some really interesting stories in this as well, aren't
Yeah, totally. Like there is with Traction in the Rain, number 6. Track number 6 today. David says, probably one of the prettiest songs I've ever written. I just love it. It's a straightforward singer-songwriter beauty. I love it. He said, there's that line, it's hard enough to get through another city day without thinking of getting out. Well, I was already not liking big cities and not liking how they felt, but I was living on my boat in Sausalito. I was pretty happy about that. I was ready to head for the country. So this is Traction in the Rain, number 6. Saying nothing.
It's hard enough, I know, to find the strength
That
to
voice.
go
Yeah, fabulous.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
back to where it all began. It's hard enough to gain an attraction in the rain.
Same here, Jim. Passed me by completely.
Hard for me to understand. Hard to find a way to get through another city day without thinking about getting
Bit of auto harp there, perhaps.
Oh, you think it's auto harp, do you?
It could be.
Yeah.
I know there's auto harp listed as an instrument on the thing.
Right.
And in fact, if I might be able to tell who's playing it.
I've seen was a t-shirt turning
Laura Allen on auto harp on Traction in the Rain and vocal.
India, a turtle dove. The dove's lady was the cause, or maybe it was the olive branch she held in her claws, or maybe he could see they were in love.
It's got a little bit of that Joni Mitchell stream of
He took the words
consciousness.
right. He took the words right out of my mouth. That Joni Mitchell vibe.
Yeah, that kind of. I'm just going to talk
Skipping
about
around.
what. Yeah, but this is what's going on around me. So I'm sitting at my computer,
Sitting
I'm
in
doing
some
a live
sad
stream
cafe.
with Eric,
Yeah.
and I've got a mouse in my hand, and it's just like but it just seems so. There's no kind of feel of contrivedness to it at all.
No,
Is there?
there's a bit of a stream of consciousness, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
So that was track number 6. Track number 7 is called "Song with No Words, Tree with No Leaves." David said, "This is another one of those songs without words. I had a melody and a tuning that I liked. I loved the set of changes. I thought it was pretty. I didn't have words for it, so I decided it was just going to be a horn stack with my voice. When I listened to it afterwards, I felt it was complete. I didn't feel it lacked anything. I loved it."
Beautiful.
Absolutely. David Geffen didn't like it, But David had a limited conception of what was music, he said. He was a very bright man in some areas. You probably don't want to play poker with him. He's a very, very intelligent guy, but he never understood music and probably never will. David Geffen. Absolutely. This is Song with No Words. No chance. I'm feeling a bit of Mitchellness coming in on this one.
Mm.
Yeah. Going to Staten Island, Sharon, to buy myself a mandolin.
In a quiet cafe.
Sitting in some sad cafe. Weaving flower garlands, yeah. Giving them to passers-by. Daisy chain, anyone? Namaste. Music that touches the soul. That might sum it up perfectly. This kind of touched the soul. That was song with no words, tree with no leaves. The next track, I originally thought it was Orleans, but the more I listened to it, I actually thought the name of this track might be Orleans.
Yes.
Orleans, because it doesn't have the new part. David says, I learned this traditional song from Paul Kantner. He taught it to me. I loved it. I thought it was beautiful. I knew what would happen if I stacked it with all the parts of my voice. So he talks in stacks. It's 9 parts of my voice all in one piece. It was way too pretty to ignore, so I included it. I have to say, the harmonies at the start of this melted me. I mean, they put the harmonies at the start of this put Beach Boys to shame, who were pretty good at harmonizing. But this song, I'm going to call it Orleans. Listen to this.
Beau Chancy, Notre-Dame du Clairville,
So this was reviewed by, and I don't know who reviewed it, but they made this Song of the Week, and the reviewer said, I wanted to know what this song was about for years. It's a traditional French song. Thanks to the internet, I think it's merely a listing of church or parish or maybe neighborhood names in Paris.
Yeah. All right. Okay. And this is why it's played at the Vatican. Bless me, Father. It's been 2 weeks since my last confession.
Clearly, a lot of influence there for Enya.
Oh, yeah. So that's worth listening to. We're not going to do it justice by talking over it, and that is worth just shutting the door,
But
putting the lights off.
isn't it? This is, you know, you want to sit down. I don't drink, but things like this make me feel that I want to, you know, sit down with a glass of scotch, headphones, dark room, and just really absorb melt into the music.
Yeah, the best quality stereo you've got in the house, or hi-fi you've got in the house, and get it on. Talking about that, has anybody watched the Banshees of Inisherin? I love those two together, but oh my God, it's the most depressing bloody thing I've ever seen in my life. It's dreadful. Well, it's not dreadful, it's harsh. Anyway, I'd swear there was somebody here is the last track on this album. David says, I think it's the best piece of music I've ever thought up. I was in an extremely emotional state. It was probably the hardest night I'd ever had. I was just crying my eyes out. I was devastated. I was crying out that pain into an echo chamber. And all of that sudden it started being coherent. I knew I had to do another vocal. It maybe took me 15 minutes. 6 vocals right after, one after the other. Looking back, I was an immature person, stoned out of my flipping mind. And I'm hit with something flipping mind, yeah, right. Commonly used in California. And I'm hit with something I couldn't handle, the death of Christine. And it's amazing that I managed to get into the studio and make this record at all. It's not In Bruges. It's definitely, I thought I was watching In Bruges 2. No, let me know what you think. But this is, I'd swear there was somebody here. I think I played the start of this at the end of the last one, but... What's the geological continuity gaff? So he's actually saying that he's pretty much just crying out pain here. Now, if he'd said to me, I want you to listen to a track, just a guy crying out 6 voices of his pain for like, you know, a minute or so or whatever it is, I wouldn't, but there's nothing wrong with this. It fits on this album.
Yeah. And because of how he's harmonized it, it doesn't seem like it's a depressing, miserable thing, does it?
Not at all. Not at all. We've got to the end of that piece of music, and I have to say, thank you so much for bringing that to the table.
Well, as you know, I stumbled upon it, and it was actually during the show that I thought, actually, should we do this album? So it's a chance encounter, but it's been
an organic thing,
hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I'm off next week, so I'll come up, and I was so busy and so swamped by this that I never actually prepared anything to listen for 2 weeks. So early next week, I will come up with let's listen to this for 2 weeks' time, if that's okay.
Yeah.
But this has been a joy. I will listen to again. I've downloaded it completely, and there are songs on here that have really captured my imagination and captured my attention.
Oh, I'm pleased, and I'm pleased that this is something that we're totally in alignment for, because we've had a couple of albums like that, haven't we? Where we've both just gone, oh my God, this is outstanding. I knew it was good, but I didn't realize it was this good. And this is one of those, you know, we've kind of discovered it and gone, wow, this is beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing, and it's I have a feeling that if you played that to me 10, 15, 20 years ago, I'd maybe have discounted it. But right now, perfect.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Beautiful. So what can we say? Thank you, everybody. You know,
amazing.
What a great audience. I mean, it's always a great audience, but particularly this week, it's just been lovely, hasn't it?
Brilliant. So we'll try and pick something that everybody can jump in with. And it's lovely to hear people like John Bloomfield say, I'd never heard this album, I played it and I loved it.
Yeah.
But equally, I'd never heard this album, I played it and I didn't like it. That happens quite a lot, but that's okay. That's what this is about. Oh.
Yes.
We could just make that decision now, you know.
It's your choice, isn't it?
Let's do it. Andrew Slesser, who's been with us from the start, had said Bob Marley legend. So in 2 weeks' time, we'll do Bob Marley legend. There you go. Done.
In fact, Andrew suggested I Am Legend in our last live stream.
Yeah.
Then he said, I am a legend.
I am a legend.
Great, you're a legend.
You are a legend. We're all legends.
We're all legends. So you're a legend, Andrew. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all very much for joining us. What a wonderful way to round out the week.